really important thing for us to remember when we're having uncomfortable feelings or negative feelings, because it helps us manage those feelings and remember what to do when we feel bad. So we're going to learn today about the think, feel, act triangle. So might have seen something like this before, but what happens when we have a feeling is that we also have thoughts, and then after we have those thoughts and feelings, we usually have actions. So we're going to talk about what that means, so don't worry. I bet right now you can stop and think of a couple of feelings that maybe you've had lately. Maybe you felt worried about something, or frustrated, or sad, or lonely, and that's okay. Usually when you have a feeling, you have a thought first that you probably didn't even notice or think about. So we're going to practice today thinking about what thoughts match up with feelings, and then what actions or behaviors follow that. So all you have to do is remember that there are 3 parts: thinking, feeling, and acting. Okay? So I'm going to give you some examples, and I hope that at home you can kind of make your own thought, feel, and act sheet. I kind of made my own here. So we're going to fill it in, and I hope that you can fill this in too at home. So right now, I drew a little version of myself, and I put a heart on my shirt because that reminds me that I have to have a feelings box, but I also have to have a thought box. And so that's our thought bubble right up here. If you've ever read a comic book or seen this in a picture book, you know that the thought bubble means someone's thinking something. And then the 3rd thing was an action or a behavior. So I put a little speech bubble here to show that my little person is saying something or doing something. So we've got our feelings, our thoughts, and our actions right here on our paper. So you can draw something similar. You can draw yourself and just make sure you have the 3 parts, okay? And we're gonna fill it in so it makes a little bit more sense. But right now we'll label them because we just labeled them. So I'm gonna get a pencil, and I've got my paper, and remember I said this was the feelings box because the arrow points to the heart. So I'm gonna label that feelings. There we go. Feelings. And this one was thoughts because it's got the thought bubble going to the head, so I'll label that thoughts. Just like that, right there, oops, right there. And then the other one was our actions, or words, or behaviors, something that we do. It could be something that we say, or a behavior, for example, saying something not very nice to somebody, or putting our head down in class, or giving somebody a hug. It can be anything. All right, actions. I labeled that box right there. So you can see they don't look exactly the same. You can make it look a little bit different if you like. But I'm gonna give you some examples. So the first example, something might happen to you or happen in your life, like maybe you're outside at recess and you're having a really, really good time, and the teacher calls to the class, it's time to go in, but you really don't want to go in. You can imagine how that might make you feel. Maybe you feel annoyed, maybe you feel irritated or frustrated. So we know the feelings, right? They would go right there. So I'm gonna write in annoyed. I feel annoyed. I'm having so much fun at recess, I don't want to go in. Okay. Okay, so I've got our feelings box. But remember I said you also usually have a thought that comes sometimes before the feeling, because our thoughts and feelings and actions all really work together. So you might have that thought like, this is so unfair. Why can't we have more recess? I wish we were still playing. Those are all thoughts that you're having. They're different than feelings. Feelings are going to be things like upset, frustrated, sad, angry, and thoughts are things that we tell ourselves in our head. So you might think, this is so unfair. So I'm going to write that down in our big thought bubble. All right, so we've got our annoyed feeling and we've got our this is so unfair thought. And you can kind of see how they match up. If you thought to yourself, this is so unfair, you'd probably feel annoyed. Then the last piece is the action. What we do when we feel annoyed and we think things are unfair. You could imagine lots of different actions, but I'm thinking there could be something like maybe you drag your feet when you're walking to line up to go inside. Maybe you walk really slowly, and maybe you avoid getting in line on time like you're supposed to. So I'm gonna write in drag your feet when you walk in. Okay. All right, so right now we've got our think, feel, act sheet pretty much filled out. We have a situation. Recess is so fun, but now the teacher wants you to go in. We've got our thought, this is so unfair, our feeling, annoyed, and then our action, dragging our feet, going in slowly, not lining up quickly like we're supposed to. So with any kind of situation, you could probably fill in your think, feel, act worksheet, no matter what the situation is. So let's do a couple of more examples. Maybe you're in art class, and maybe you really like art, and a classmate walks by your table and says something not very nice about your artwork. Well, we know that that would feel pretty bad. That might make you feel sad. That might make you feel frustrated as well. Maybe that makes you feel angry or hurt. But let's stop a minute and let's think about what thought ran through your head, because that's really important that we don't forget the thoughts part. So maybe when that friend said something not very nice about your artwork, you thought something to yourself like, I am a bad artist. And that would make you feel a lot worse, right? And then maybe your action, this third part right here, maybe your action is that you stop drawing. You say, I'm never gonna draw again. My friend didn't compliment my artwork. I'm a bad artist. I feel really sad and upset. I'm not gonna draw again. We can kind of see how that is not a fun situation. The recess one's not very fun. The art one is not very fun. Let's try one more example. Maybe you overslept and you're late to school. Maybe you think to yourself, well, my day is ruined. It's gonna be a bad day today. Something that we learn is that if we think it's gonna be a bad day, it's probably going to be a bad day, because that's what you're thinking about your day. If you think today is gonna be such a bad day, you're probably gonna feel a little hopeless. You're gonna feel like there's no point in participating. So maybe when you get to school, you just put your head down on your table and you don't raise your hand in class and you don't talk to your friends, because you've already thought today's gonna be a bad day. So there's nothing wrong with all of those pretty negative thought, feeling, and act situations. But the trick is changing it around so that the feeling's not as uncomfortable and sad and the action is not as negative. So the easiest way to do that is just to change the way you think about things. And for example, with our recess situation, when the teacher says, hey, it's time to come in for recess, instead of thinking, this is so unfair, maybe you could think something like, oh, well, I really enjoyed my recess time. I'd rather stay out here and play, but I know we only get 30 minutes, so it's time to go in. Maybe stop and take a minute and imagine how that would change your feeling. Instead of feeling annoyed, how do you think you'd feel if you just thought to yourself, I'd like to stay out here and play. That would be fun, but recess was good today, and I know we only have 30 minutes, so it's time to go in. If I were you, I think that would change my feeling from being annoyed to being calm or happy or appreciative of my nice recess that I had. And then that's going to change my actions. Instead of dragging my feet, coming in really slowly, maybe being kind of grumpy about it, I'm just going to feel good and line up quickly with all my friends, maybe even get a compliment from my teacher for lining up quickly. You can see how just changing the thought is going to change the whole thing. And it's pretty cool when that happens. So, for example, with our art, when we're in art class and a friend comes up and says something not so nice to us, instead of thinking, I'm an awful artist, they're right, maybe you could think something like, well, everybody has a different opinion and I really value my artwork. Instead of feeling hurt and upset, you probably feel pretty okay. Maybe you feel a little disappointed that your friend wasn't very nice, but it's not going to feel as bad. And then maybe you're not going to give up on your art. You'll keep trying. You can see how it all changes around, and just changing the way you're thinking can really change how you're feeling and what you're doing and how you're acting. So, I challenge you to come up with your own think, feel, act sheet at home. Draw yourself in the middle. Like I said, don't forget a heart on the shirt just to remember we're going to have feelings. And don't forget a thought bubble so you can write down your thoughts. And then some kind of box over here to show what you do, how you act. It's really important that you have all three parts because they all work together. So maybe fill it in with a situation that wasn't very fun. Maybe a time you got angry or a time you felt sad, maybe jealous or guilty. And then once you've got it all written down, see if you can change the thought from something kind of negative to something more positive. Like, I know I can get through this. This is tough right now, but I can deal with it. Or maybe this doesn't feel very fair, but I'm strong. Change it into a positive thought and see how the feelings and the actions might change too. If you do this on a whiteboard, it can be really fun to fill in the blanks and then erase. Do it over and over again. Or you could do it on a piece of paper, just like I did. Okay? All right, my friends. I am so glad I got to see you and glad I got to check in. I'm thinking about you all the time. See you soon. Goodbye.